That case is all about slaves, the babies of slaves, and it was a good reason for doing it, and that's all it was about.
I'm shocked and honestly perplexed that the court would consider such a case.
No president has ever been able to change that rule until possibly now.
All right, guys, this is truly the most earth-shattering thing President Trump has done in either of his 2 terms. I remember thinking that this was just a pipe dream, but back in January, on his very first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order that ended birthright citizenship. Now, that has been the law in this country since 1868 when the 14th Amendment was ratified. It was challenged once in 1898 by a Chinese person fighting to get U.S. citizenship because they were born here. And when they won that case, it has not been taken up since. Birthright citizenship has allowed millions of illegals to have children here, or tourists on temporary visas to have children here that are known as anchor babies, and then once those children are here, they're able to bring millions of their family members in by a process known as chain migration. That has been absolutely devastating to the United States, and it's only for the Democrats to get more voters. Well, President Trump signed an executive order to put an end to that once and for all, but nobody thought that the Supreme Court would actually take up the case. But guess what? They have, and the radical left is lashing out. So stay tuned. I have all of that here for you. But for now, let's take a look at how we got here.
President Trump has just ended birthright citizenship in the United States.
Birthright, that's a big one.
After being sworn in on Monday, the 47th President of the United States wasted no time, signing into effect a flurry of executive orders, including one that ended birthright citizenship in America. This is his way to crack down on the migrant crisis in the U.S. Under the new order, the children of undocumented immigrants will not be given American citizenship just because they were born on U.S. soil. For now, this doesn't affect those who are birthright citizens currently, but it does affect the children of millions of undocumented immigrants in the U.S. seeking a better life for their families. Trump claims he is doing this since the U.S. is the only country that offers birthright citizenship.
We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know.
However, currently, 65 other countries have some form of birthright citizenship. As of now, 18 states have already come forward, challenging the order, stating it is a violation of the Constitution and that the president has no authority to make changes to the amendment on his own. If the challenge goes through, the case could reach the Supreme Court.
Well, now the case has reached the Supreme Court. And did you notice out of that list of the 65 other countries that have birthright citizenship, all but about 3 or 4 of them are third world countries, and you didn't notice one country in Europe on there? There's a reason for that. Now, President Trump's going to explain why he did this and why he believes that he can win this case.
The case is very interesting because that case was meant for the babies of slaves. And if you look at the dates on the case, it was exactly having to do with the Civil War. That case was not meant for some rich person coming from another country, putting a foot in our country, and all of a sudden their whole family becomes, United States citizens. That case is all about slaves, the babies of slaves, and it was a good reason for doing it, and that's all it was about, and people now are understanding it. It's been explained to them, and I think the court understands it too. That would be a devastating decision if we lose that case.
That court,
because our country cannot afford to house tens of millions of people that came in through birthright citizenship. When that happened, that was meant for the babies of slaves. And if you look at the exact dates that it was passed, it all had to do with the Civil War and the ending of the Civil War. It's that little period of time, and people now are starting to understand.
Now, as both a history major and an attorney, I can tell you that President Trump is correct. This was 1868, just 3 years after the Civil War, and the purpose was to make sure that slaves and their children were recognized as natural-born U.S. citizens. But now the left is losing it because they're more concerned with, you guessed it, the illegal aliens than they are the composition and future of this country.
America does not create second-class children. The Supreme Court announced it will hear a case that could rewrite one of the most important sentences in the Constitution. The 14th Amendment's guarantee to birthright citizenship. No president has ever been able to change that rule until possibly now, when the Supreme Court has agreed to weigh in on Trump's executive order that seeks to end birthright citizenship for certain children born in the United States. It's about whether the 14th Amendment still means what it has meant for 155 years. And we have to be clear about why this matters, especially right now. All right. Trump has publicly described this policy as one of the tools he wants to use to remove migrants from the country. Birthright citizenship is not a tool. Ending birthright citizenship is part of a broader strategy to change who is recognized as a citizen and who is not. A strategy that would affect millions of children and entire communities across the United States. If the court upholds the executive order, it would be one of the biggest shifts in American citizenship law since, it's Reconstruction.
Well, that liberal mouth breather is actually right. It is part of a broader strategy to decide who gets to be a citizen and who doesn't. And it is going to change entire communities. That's the entire point. But I think what the left is most shocked about is that the Supreme Court is even considering this case. Take a listen to this liberal attorney here.
We have a major update this afternoon. The United States Supreme Court has agreed to take a case that could completely gut birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. As a lawyer, I'm shocked and honestly perplexed that the court would consider such a case. This court will now review a case that could possibly gut and overturn much of both birthright citizenship, eliminate automatic birthright citizenship for individuals born on American soil to two undocumented parents. This is not a case the Supreme Court would typically take up. Why? Because it's clear. Supreme Court precedent is clear, federal law is clear, Congress has acted, text of the 14th Amendment is clear, and yet you have 4 justices here now agree to take the case. To me, what that says is that there are 4 justices willing to overturn birthright citizenship.
Well, as a fellow attorney, I can tell you that this guy's actually right. It takes 4 out of the 9 justices on the court to rule to hear a case, and 4 of them did just that. So if they weren't willing to make a decision on this, then they wouldn't hear it and they'd just leave it as settled law. And remember, President Trump nominated 3 out of the 9 justices on the court, and in name, 5 of the 9 justices are conservatives. So it is very likely that this case goes our way. And if that happens, this country will be changed forever in a good way. There are millions and millions of illegals in this country that are having children and they're becoming citizens. And if we can slam the brakes on that, we could save this country. We'll have a decision in June or July. Let's just pray to God that it goes our way. But for now, guys, if you liked this video, please be sure to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more, guys. Thanks.